How you doing, beautiful sons of bitches? It's your boy Max here, and today we got the boys Angel and John. And we are back for more reviews of the original Star Wars Marvel Comics series. So, guys, let's just jump right into it, shall we? So we hop into issue 65, Golrath Never Forgets, where Luke is placed on trial for the negligent death of Captain Shira Bree. A small judges panel presided over by Princess Leia, General Raikin, and General Duran Virtag examined the evidence of the past several days and conclude that Skywalker is innocent of all charges. He is reinstated into the fleet at the rank of commander once again. Later, a pilot named Gemmer complains about the photoreceptive imagery from a souvenir piece of rock from the old Golrath base, keeping him awake at night. Captain Thorbin has Gemmer turn the piece over to the rebel leaders, who quickly examine it. They discover that the natural mineral deposits found in the volcanic world record light images of their surroundings and project them as holograms once the mineral cools. They know that the Imperials have recently taken control of Golrath and are scared that this geological peculiarity might yield the location of their current base at Arbra. Leia decides to personally lead an expedition to Golrath to eradicate any trace elements that might aid the Galactic Empire in their search for the fleet. Golrath Station is currently presided over by the recently demoted Lieutenant Mills Giel. He soon learns about the Bedrock's astounding properties when two stormtroopers report seeing images of a rebel training exercise. Giel immediately sends a communique to Darth Vader and orders a squad of TIE fighters to defend the base should the rebels return. Two flight groups of X-Wing and BTL Y-Wing starfighters converge on Golrath. They engage with a squadron of Imperial TIE fighters, and a vicious battle takes place. Princess Leia maneuvers her Y-Wing through the morass of fighters and dives down to the clouds above Golrath. She flies down towards the old base using a parabelt rocket harness. Leia sneaks into the factory compound and heads directly towards the reactor core. Her intent is to overload the core, causing the base to explode. Giel finds her and opens fire, causing Leia to seek cover behind some packing crates. Giel seals off all the exits and primes the overload switches himself. As valuable a prize as this base may be to the Empire, the chance of killing the leader of the Rebel Alliance is of even greater value, even at the cost of his own life. Leia manages to distract Giel by activating her rocket harness and finds a way to escape from the reactor room. He chases her outside, but is unable to stop her. She radios Lando Calrissian in a Y-Wing, who meets her at a rendezvous point. Giel is enraged at his failure. Out of spite, he fires off a shot from his blaster at a passing X-Wing fighter before boarding his own Imperial troop transport. Giel evacuates the base just before it explodes. As luck would have it, the ship he fired upon belongs to Luke Skywalker, and the small blaster shot caused enough damage to Luke's engines that he is unable to regroup with the fleet. As the rest of the ships enter hyperspace, Luke is left behind with a fresh squad of TIE fighters bearing down on him. So, guys, thoughts on this issue? I know, what a shocking ending. I mean, yeah, guys, thoughts on this issue?
I like how Giel came back in because he's the one that Vader almost offed, and then he talked his way out of it.
Actually, you're too sucky to kill, so I'm gonna just demote you instead. Yeah.
No, because he owned up to it. He didn't try to weasel his way out of blame. He was just fucked up. What are you gonna do about it?
At least this makes more sense than with Vader letting Reva off the hook because I'm planting a tracker on the ship. I'll track them where they're going. And Vader's like, all right, and that gives her a fucking promotion for.
Yeah, it gives her a pass. Yeah.
What the hell?
Even though she had them all trapped, so it makes no sense to do a tracker and let them leave at that point. But yeah, no, Giel, he does a good job, taking actual personal responsibility. So Vader's like, all right, respect enough you not to choke you, I guess, because you're not being a weasel. Yeah. And then he comes back here and he's actually he's pretty smart. I like how they never make the villains just idiots for the sake of advancing the plot. He sees Leia coming in, and he manages to trick her by being like, I'm gonna blow us both up, and he gives a really convincing speech about I'll happily die for the Empire. One less officer, what's that? A loss for them? Not really, but without you, the rebellion will fall apart. And then Leia's smart too. She attaches the little thing to her heel and pulls the string whenever she comes out to raise her hands. So it did a good job balancing where neither one of them looked like idiots.
Yeah. Angel.
That's a solid issue. I do like they used the trope of, and we're not gonna believe you unless we have evidence, despite knowing Luke is, an
There.
Oh,
good
yeah,
guy.
that was so
There.
quickly resolved.
Yeah, that absolutely should have lasted longer. I don't know why they wrapped it up so fast.
I think the writers got bored with that story, or they didn't know how to conclude. They're just like, and then he's declared innocent. Anyways, moving on.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Stan Lee's like,
I'm bored with this stupid trial story. Make everybody like Luke again.
Yeah,
Wait,
straight
did
up.
they ever
Yeah.
explain? Did they ever explain whatever happened to what's her name?
Shira Bree.
Yes,
Well, yeah,
Shira.
she's currently in like the back to tank and healing up, and Vader's gonna turn her into a cyborg, presumably. But
Oh,
that's
I
a
thought they
story
just-
for another
And
time.
then she will sleep with me, the cyborg man. It was all
Yeah.
a ploy to steal Luke's girlfriend.
Exact. What a twist.
Hell yeah!
And then Vader figures out that she's his daughter, and then it's like, well, this just got fucked up fast.
What is it with our family and incest, damn it?
But anyways, yeah, I didn't think this issue was all that special. This just felt like a side quest to me. I didn't think it was particularly important, so I didn't really care for it. So moving on to issue 66, The Water Bandits. Luke Skywalker, having sustained damage to his X-Wing fighter, is forced to land on the backwater world of Behemoth. He wanders into a moisture farm community in the nearby district of Garantine. While bartering for food at a local cantina, Luke becomes embroiled in a scuffle with some farmers who mistake him for a brigand. A woman named Dariel Anglethorne enters and intercepts them. She takes Luke aside and explains that roving bands of brigands have been stealing their precious stores of water. Luke agrees to help Dariel out, and she hires him as a bodyguard. She drives Luke out to her moisture farm, which is protected by a gigantic fortified wall. That night, all the farmers working at Dariel's installation mysteriously pass out, including Luke when they awaken. They discover that all of their moisture vaporators are destroyed and Dariel is missing. Luke promises to investigate her disappearance and travels across the arid deserts and mountain ranges. He eventually comes upon the brigand stronghold operated by a pirate named Gideon Longspar. Longspar's men get the drop on Luke and bring him into the throne room. Gideon reveals that he has captured Dariel and has stolen all the water supplies from her farm. He has in his possession an alien entity known as Tirith. The Tirith entity exists as a sentient mystical energy and comprises a hive mind. Longspar has captured half of the entity and threatens to destroy it unless the remaining half agrees to aid him. The Tirith has been infecting the moisture vaporators late at night, transforming the ambient air moisture into a toxic gas. This is how Gideon has been able to incapacitate people, allowing his brigands to steal the water. Luke manages to free Dariel and tricks Longspar, who's armed with Luke's lightsaber, into destroying the containment pod holding the captured Tirith particles. The Tirith then advise them to destroy the base's water tanks in order to distract the approaching guards. Though reluctant to sacrifice the precious water, Dariel does so, allowing her and Luke to leave the stronghold while the guards are swept away. Appreciative for their aid, the Tirith enter the atmosphere and charge the clouds with electrostatic energy, creating a greatly needed rainfall on Behemoth. So, guys, thoughts on this issue right here?
Yeah, it felt like I was reading a slice of life anime.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Well,
kind
not
of
slice
like
of life.
they
just-
try and like relate it to Luke's origin a lot because he's like, I wasn't able to save Baru and Owen, but like maybe I
Yeah.
can make it 'cause
Yeah.
it's a moisture
They also
farm, I
spelled
guess.
Aunt Baru's name wrong in this issue. Did
shit.
you guys notice that?
I didn't even notice that.
They did, yeah. They spell it with an A instead of an E, yeah.
It's funny. Luke's like actually remembering the spelling wrong. He always spelled it wrong, so it's an unreliable narrator back here. Is the explanation
Yeah,
for
because
that
that's
one.
not. Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, no, but it's kind of weird. And I'm like, why are you thinking that? Because you've saved a lot of people from like bandits and oppressors and everything. So is it literally just because it's a moisture farm this time?
Probably, yeah.
He's like, well, now it's reminding me of my childhood. It's like, Luke, a lot of people have died. Okay.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the little fart cloud that ends up solving everything. That was like, at least that was like somewhat ambitious, having it be like a sentient like
Being.
cloud being. Yeah, it's a nice like alien thing to have in like a sci-fi thing. And I know it's science fantasy or whatever, but like, space stuff. You want to have some like wacky, crazy creatures, which we run into in later issues, actually, in this little batch that we're doing. But no, that was like a nice twist. It was a little bit plot convenient too, though. It's like, oh, but now the moisture's all gone, and they're like, oh, well, we can make it rain. That's easy. It's like, why is that one of your powers?
Yeah, just do the rain dance, everybody. Yeah. Angel, thoughts?
I don't really have much to say about it. It's just all right, I guess. Like, yeah, just felt more slice of life than anything. Nothing really exciting happened, but
yeah, I'm with
Angel. They're very much like, we're going to introduce the problem and then solve it very quickly in the same issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Angel on this. Again, I just thought this was very boring. I didn't think much of it after finishing it.
It's definitely a sleeper.
What?
No, I said it's definitely a sleeper.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of sleeping, on to annual number 2, which has a bunch of people sleeping on the cover of it. On to annual 2, Luke Skywalker, Lando Calrissian, and C-3PO are running from Imperial stormtroopers when they happen across a convent containing a golden statue of Han Solo. The rebels are puzzled until Rav Vetter Peen appears, declaring that Solo is the savior of Ventuine and activating a control on the statue containing a recording of Solo's voice, which recounts the story of how Solo saved the planet. Solo and his co-pilot Chewbacca were traveling to Ventuine to deal in Sansana spice. Unfortunately, when Solo asks around in a local cantina, he's run out of the place labeled as a supporter of the Satab. As Solo runs from the crowd, he also happens to save Tieris Chrysala, the consort of the Satab, from an assassination attempt. Solo is brought back to the Satab's palace as a hero, where he discovers that the Satab rules the planet through the use of a stone known as the Shade Shine. A new Satab must be chosen every year because the power of the stone is able to burn out a person's body. The old Satab then goes to the Hall of Satabs, where he is placed in suspended animation with the other former Satabs until a cure can be found for the burnout. Solo is placed in line to take the title, but before the current Satab can promote Solo, Chrysala takes his place, saving him from becoming enslaved to the Shade Shine. Solo tries to fight off the Satab, but with the power of the Shade Shine, he is too powerful. Luckily, Chrysala comes to Han's rescue, preventing the Satab from entering the Hall of Satabs in time, causing him to implode into a pile of ash. Chrysala then ends the rule of the Shade Shine by walking into the Hall of Satabs herself. Han is declared a hero for ending the rule of the Satabs, and a statue is made in his honor. Back in the present, stormtroopers finally catch up with Luke and the gang. Luke is able to trick the troopers into entering the Hall of Satabs by placing a memory stone with his voice in the nullification chamber. The Imperials enter the room and are immediately placed in the suspended animation. Luke, Lando, and C-3PO then escape the planet in a Y-Wing. So, guys, thoughts on this issue right here?
I always got to give him credit for employing Y-Wings, but for an annual, it felt like pretty underwhelming to kind of have it be like a flashback.
Yes.
And then just like,
I did read that. Never mind.
It's kind of like it's like not even a side. It's like the fact that it's a flashback. I don't know why. It just makes it even less significant than even just a simple side quest.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna like actually do something like in the fucking present after the flashback was done, but apparently not. The whole story was the flashback.
We just don't have enough pages back, Cedar. It's only an annual. What is this thing, like 50 pages probably, because the regular comics are 24.
38, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 1.5 of the regular ones. They're like, nah, we just don't have time. Sorry, guys.
Not enough time.
They're like modern streaming writers where they're like, well, we only had 8 hours. We had to rush everything.
Angel, thoughts?
Yeah, mainly with you two guys here. It's
It's such a weird thing too, because they're like searching for Han, and then they're like, "Oh, here's a statue of him." And it's like, "Oh yes, here's a story about Han Solo." It's like, is this really what we want to do with the big annual issue? Is like there are some of the comic storylines from this batch have like more cool or important
Going
seeming
on in
stories.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and they're 2/3 as long, and they're not like, I don't know. I feel like the annual. Maybe I have the wrong idea for an annual, but it isn't it supposed to be like kind of like eventful or like big a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with this. On to issue 67, as the rebel leaders discuss a plan to rescue the captured Han Solo, C-3PO, Chewbacca, Pliff, and several other Hoojibs venture into the depths of some unexplored tunnels near the hidden rebel base on Arbra. They are in search of R2-D2, who had wandered off to investigate a faint cry for help, but the cry was a ruse to lure the droid to the home of the Darker. The Darker, a creature made up of dark energies of the ancient civilization of Arbrins, was trapped in an underground city by a large force field created by the Arbrins. As 3PO and Chewbacca enter the city, they see R2 has been captured by the dark creature, who intends to use the droid's components to develop a mechanism to disable the force field, which holds him captive. Chewbacca tries to stop him, but the Darker uses his ability to manipulate emotions to turn the Wookiee against the protocol droid. 3PO is eventually able to free Chewbacca from his possession and also free R2-D2 from his bonds. He then instructs Chewbacca to capture and hurl the Darker into the Force screen, realizing this would destroy the creature. Not only is the Darker killed when Chewbacca throws him into the screen, but the cave surrounding the city begins to collapse. The group evacuates the city into a connecting tunnel, for it is completely turned to rubble. So, guys, thoughts on this issue here?
I kind of liked the Darker as like a villain. It's a little something different because he's like all the negative emotions of the whole species. And
I thought his
like,
design sucked, though.
Yeah, he's like a
just a
little
green
lizard
guy in a cloak. Yeah,
He looks like a giant lizard man in a cloak.
yeah,
It's like-
kind of. Yeah,
It's sort of an interesting reveal, and then like his powers are somewhat different. He's not just like, oh, I'm real tough or I'm gonna blast you. He like infects you with all of his rage and shit.
Mhm. He's a Red Lantern, pretty much. Yeah.
And I think, oh no, I'm sorry, it's a different one where they're doing all the comedy with the droids, but they do a little bit of comedy with 3PO in this one because he like turns something like loyalty into anger for Chewbacca, and whenever he's chasing 3PO around, he's like, oh, he's very loyal indeed if he really is trying to kill me this much.
That's so stupid.
And they do put Chewie over though, because like his strength,
Yeah, he gets a
feats in this,
push.
he's fucking smashing everything. He smashes into the Darker's stomach whenever he finally gets to him. Oh yeah, because the little so they kind of breeze over it in that Wikipedia thing, but like those creatures seemed pretty crazy to me. The little like what were they called? The little rat dudes?
The Hoojibs.
Yeah. Had they been in previous issues?
Yeah, they've been in previous issues.
Okay, that explains it because I was watching them and I'm like, oh, like these are like interesting little creatures, but and then they were all like frightened into fear, but then like Chewbacca, and it puts Chewbacca over like emotionally too because he starts overcoming the Darker's like anger whenever 3PO like brings up Han or emulates his voice or something, and then that like breaks Chewbacca out of the anger trance. And then he's like, wow, your will is real strong. And he does it strong enough that like it frees all the Hoojibs because he can't concentrate on them anymore. And it's like a good little team up victory. It felt like he actually was like a more of a threat, I guess, because it took like a good team up and sort of like some cleverness or coincidence and willpower to actually overcome him. His death itself was the only part that was pretty lame about that. Where it's like, just throw him into the force field.
Throw him into the force field. Throw him into the very thing that was keeping him contained. Yeah.
So all these years he never touched that force field. He was like, I know I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah. Angel.
I agree with you guys. I do feel like the The villain feels more like a Marvel villain, if anything, like a
Yeah.
Spider-Man villain. I can see Spider-Man fighting him, but
Mhm.
other than
Fantastic
that,
Four, maybe.
yeah, Fantastic Four, maybe the Avengers if he was a bigger threat. But yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I just, again, like, this is just a recurring problem I have with a lot of the comics in this series so far. A lot of them just feel like blatant side quest crap that doesn't really feel like, oh, yeah, this is like a story that should be told.
But like with my criticism of the annual, and I said, like, there's some that seem like they'd be bigger threats just because this is happening under the rebel base and he has kind of like that dark backstory and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like this would have worked better for the annual, but you would have had to involve the whole gang, not just
Yeah.
like Chewbacca and you would have had to have like Luke,
True.
Lando, and Leia down there, and then they could all get like turned against each other, like overcome it through their connections and emotions and everything. And then like you could have made that into a bigger than normal issue if you
Yeah.
involved all the main characters.
Yeah.
Fairy
Yeah,
tale, the power of friendship bullshit.
Yeah. So on to
They all
issue
hold hands in friendship around the darker, and then he's like, "No, the friendship is defeating me. It's a positive emotion. It's canceling out my anger."
True.
And then they all
yeah.
hug him, and it kills him.
So moving on to issue 68, which is a badass cover of Boba Fett, the Rebels continue their search for Han Solo, having just recently learned that Boba Fett was in league with another bounty hunter during the search for the Millennium Falcon. Having narrowed the search down to 3 different bounty hunters, the Rebels split up into 3 teams. Lando Calrissian and Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon, Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 in his X-Wing, and Princess Leia Organa and C-3PO in a Y-Wing. Of the 3 bounty hunters on their list, the princess is assigned to hunt down Dengar, last seen on the planet Mandalore. Landing just outside the capital city of Keldabe, Leia and C-3PO make their way on foot before encountering a caravan of individuals. To their surprise, the procession is a group of slavers. Herding a group of enslaved Mandalorians before Leia and C-3PO can sneak away, the caravan comes under attack by a group of Mandalorian soldiers led by what looks to be Boba Fett. During the battle, Leia ends up saving Fett from a slaver's attack and is shocked to find herself fighting by the Mandalorian side. Following the end of the battle, the Mandalorian leader introduces himself to Leia. He's not actually Boba Fett, but another Mandalorian named Fen Shisa. Shisa brings Leia and C-3PO back to his base and explains to her how he has spent the past few years trying to free his people from the Galactic Empire's influence in the aftermath of the Clone Wars. Shisa then tells Leia of his role in the Clone Wars, claiming that he fought for the Empire, was led into battle by Boba Fett, and even became acquainted with Leia during briefing missions. Shisa finishes his tale by telling Leia that of all the Mandalorian protectors, only 3 survived: his commander, his childhood friend Tabi Dala, and himself. At the end of his story, Leia asks Shisa if he had seen Dengar anywhere on the planet. Shisa leads the princess to a suspended cage deep within the Mandalorian base, but refuses to turn the bounty hunter over to her. Shisa's friend, Dala, had unfortunately been captured a few days before Leia's arrival, and the Mandalorian had made a deal with the Empire, planning to exchange the bounty hunter for his imprisoned friend. As Shisa leads Leia away from Dengar's prison, the bounty hunter calls out to her, promising that he will tell her everything he knows if she will only free him from his cell. Leia decides to take the hunter up on his offer, and when night falls on the camp, she distracts Shisa, while C-3PO sneaks over to Dengar's suspended cell and cuts him free. Dengar's cell falls onto 2 Mandalorians. Before Shisa can figure out what is happening, Leia tricks Shisa into kissing her, using the action to position him next to a large tree. With Shisa off balance, the princess slams his head into the tree, knocking him unconscious. With the Mandalorian leader incapacitated and Dengar cut loose, Leia and C-3PO make their way back to their ship with their captive, planning to bring him back to the Alliance base and interrogate him there. However, unknown to the princess, when she had freed him from his cell, Dengar had used the time to send a signal to the Empire via a transmitter on his armor. Leia and C-3PO are ambushed by an all-terrain advanced raider and a group of stormtroopers, leading C-3PO to claim that the 2 rebels are most certainly doomed this time. So guys, thoughts on this issue right here?
I just sneezed, so there's my thoughts.
What?
What?
I just sneezed, so there's my thought.
No. John.
Oh, God damn. No, I mean, I can see where it was going. I don't know. I felt like it was a little bit repetitious. I feel like with earlier stories that we had with like, I don't know. I do like that some of these issues are showing that like Leia in the pilot seat more often. That infiltration one, and then this one kind of does it again. Where I don't know. She's like, you never really see that in the movies where she's really like doing
flying
anything
around in
mission-wise.
space. Yeah.
So you know, that's appreciated. Is this the one where she uses the sort of feminine wiles to help knock out the guy?
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, where she's like, "Oh, you have to kiss me. I'm under such pressure," and then he's like, and he's like, "Well, all right, if you insist."
You insist. Yeah.
And then he like helps her out again, so he doesn't hold it against her too much, and you know,
I
they
did
probably
laugh.
bang afterwards.
Yeah.
I did laugh when she said, "Sorry, but you would have done the same thing as me," applying
True.
assaulted her. I was like,
Yeah, he would have beaten a woman. Yeah. It's like, oh, nice to know what you think of me, Leia.
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah. And since I'm such a big ass Mandalorian fan, like real Mandalorians, that is, I do have to point out two things here because this is really the first big time in Star Wars we're getting stuff on the Mandalorians. So all the shit I love about Star Wars, I have this issue to owe for it, even though I didn't actually care that much for this issue. I thought the story itself was weak. But yeah, so two things here. One, they misspelled Keldabe. Now, granted, this is the first time the city gets named, but later on it's Keldabe. Here they spell it Kedlabe or something. That's not how it's supposed to be spelled. And the other thing is that the background on the Mandalorian protectors that Shisa gives in this issue is like blatantly contradictory with Attack of the Clones, but they did manage to sort of fix everything later on. So for those who don't know, so as what we know from Attack of the Clones, Boba Fett was 10 years old when the Clone Wars broke out. Leia hadn't been born yet. Jango was allied with the CIS, and the Empire hadn't been established yet, right? So they did eventually fix these discrepancies by claiming that Fen Shisa was merely confused in his retelling, you see? So the clone trooper, Spar, he was actually Fen Shisa's actual commander, and Shisa was confused the clone with Jango Fett's son, basically. And the picture of Leia in that story was actually a picture of Padme, which showed that and Shisa again got the two confused when he met Leia in this issue here. And when he said that, the Mandalorians were sent into battle by the Emperor, that is true from a certain point of view, since Palpatine was still the leader of the Republic at the time. But yeah, that's basically it. So, anyways, yeah. So moving on,
they do. Yeah, the whole backstory for Boba Fett obviously ends up very different than the prequels.
Yeah.
Where he's like, the leader of the guard. There's only, what did he say? There was like 200 and something of them, and then it was down to 3 by the time the war was over.
Yeah.
And then, they call him Emperor whenever he was still like Chancellor. And then, so just like a lot of prequel kind of contradictions, which is actually surprising to me because I read the novelization of A New Hope recently, and it seemed like he did have a lot of stuff planned out beforehand.
Right.
But it seems like the Emperor was probably the least planned out part.
Yeah.
Because even in that, he's depicted as sort of a puppet, and like Vader.
Yeah, he's like a useless politician, and the Moffs are the guys who run everything. But obviously, that got massively retooled. Yeah,
and like Vader isn't like looking up to him as a mentor. He's kind of like, I'm the most powerful Sith in the galaxy.
Yeah,
and like Obi-Wan's my only equal and everything. So it's clear that like Lucas, you can kind of tell like he had the general idea of how the Jedi would fall and everything, but like some issues with the Clone Wars and with Palpatine, it was definitely like not as planned out.
Right. So moving on to issue 69. 69.
Nice.
Nice.
Continuing where the last issue left off, Leia and C-3PO have just been captured by the Empire due to the duplicity of the bounty hunter Dengar. Leia and 3PO are escorted to the city of Bone in a transport barge where they meet with the Imperial. Yeah, the city of Bone in
I'm not
issue
thinking of the
69.
city of Bone.
In issue 69, no less. In a transport barge where they meet with the Imperial commander, the Suprema, who assures them that he will soon crush the resistance on Mandalore and kill Fen Shisa. As Dengar communicates with the Supreme about tracking down Shisa, Leia and C-3PO are led away by stormtroopers. However, one of the stormtroopers is in fact Fen Shisa in disguise, and he frees the two rebels. Shisa explains that after Leia had knocked him unconscious, he'd awoken to find the princess being captured by the Imperials. Discovering a perfect way to infiltrate the base, Shisa tells the princess that he will help her recapture Dengar if she will help him free his friend Tabi Dala from his cell in the city of Bone. After Leia agrees, the group make their way to Dala's cell and mount a rescue. With the two Mandalorian friends reunited, the group decides to mount an attack on the fortress. Shisa shoots a flare out the window of the city, triggering an assault by his forces. In the commotion that follows, Dala commandeers an air speeder, and the group make their way back to the Suprema's headquarters. As a shootout ensues with the Imperial forces, Organa and Dala destroy the control box, powering the energy links of the Mandalorian slaves. Free of their restraints, the Mandalorians rise up against their captors, causing a riot to break out in the city. The rebels use the distraction to enter the Suprema's headquarters, but find the Imperial leader waiting for them. The alien shoots Dal in the chest, mortally wounding him, but the rest of the rebels are able to stop him from doing any further damage. Dal is near death, but he promises his old friend that he'll open the doors of the city, letting the Mandalorian slaves escape to join up with Shisa's forces who are arrayed outside. True to his word, Dala opens the door, and the Mandalorians are allowed to escape. As Princess Leia and Shisa escape in their air speeder, Dala closed the doors, preventing the pursuing Shrike Squadron from pursuing them. The squadron smash headlong into the sides of the city, creating a chain reaction of exploding fuel and ammunition, incinerating the inside of the city and killing both the Suprema and Tabi Dala. Back at the Mandalorian camp, Shisa forces Dengar to talk by threatening to kill him. Dengar claims that he was not the one working with Fett, but that he overheard someone telling Fett about a hideout in the nearby Angus system. Although the mission to find Fett had been a wild goose chase, Leia takes solace in the fact that the Empire's presence on Mandalore has been crippled. Meanwhile, on the wheel, Lando and Chewbacca are pursuing Bossk, believing that he might be the bounty hunter who'd worked with Fett during the search for the Millennium Falcon. The duo have found a patron, Vorel, who knows where Bossk is, and Chewbacca threatens him until he gives up the information. After hearing the location, Calrissian is shocked. "Oh, no, not there," he proclaims. So, guys, thoughts on this issue here?
Well, out of all of them, this one was the more better one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good little. It showed sort of the ingenuity, I guess, of a Mandalorian guard, that he was pretty adept.
Oh yeah.
He did a pretty good job, and then along with giving the background to Boba a little more in these last couple issues, we sort of are, I guess, initially establishing the whole like Mandalorian badassery and all that. So it's a good first impression for. Well, I guess the first impression would have been Empire, but that's more like he's operating as a villain. So
yeah,
and he's kind of just in tow with Darth Vader. So this is more them operating like individually, because he even mentions like how much attention he got from the Empire. So they clearly view him as a threat, and that's a good way of kind of establishing that.
Right.
Yeah.
I do wish we got to see them act more like savages, as they always proclaim to be, but
Oh, they're not that savage. They're brutal when they're fighting you, yes, but they're not outright savages. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I just didn't really care for this. I just didn't really think it was that good. I mean, the action was all right. I just still didn't really find it super engaging and all that. That's just me.
The skeleton bait was cool.
Yeah. Moving on to the final issue, we read this batch, issue 70. Following the revelation in the previous issue, Lando, Chewbacca, R2, and Luke make their way to the planet Stenos in the Millennium Falcon, hoping to find the bounty hunter that worked with Boba Fett during the search for the Millennium Falcon. The group hopes that the search will lead to Fett, who's still in possession of Han Solo, Frozen, and Carbonite. Both Lando and Chewbacca search for Bosk, and Luke and R2 search for IG-88B have led them to the same location. Lando is uneasy about both searches ending up in the same place, and he expects a double cross. Luke jumps on the mention of deception and begins to recount a story about how he and Han had been double crossed on Stenos right after they joined the rebellion. The story segues to several years ago on Stenos, where Leia, Chewbacca, Han, 3PO, Luke, and R2 have just arrived in the Millennium Falcon. The group is on a mission to make contact with a rebel outpost that had dropped out of communication with the larger alliance. As the group makes their way to the rendezvous point, they spy Imperial Governor Quarrel Matron, a former contemporary of Princess Leia in the Imperial Senate. The group duck out of sight of the Imperial commander and eventually make their way to the rebel outpost. However, when they arrive, they are greeted not by rebels, but by the Rick Duel gang, a group of smugglers, former acquaintances of Han Solo. Rick Duel, Danny, and Cheeto explain that they have joined the rebellion as well, to the disbelief of all around. However, Rick is able to convince the group by mentioning the name of the commander the rebels had been sent to contact, Colonel Kinder. Duel claims that his group was left on Stenos to search for the statue of Vol, a sacred artifact to the native Stenaxes. Rick claims that finding the statue will earn the Stenaxes' eternal gratitude and that the rebellion hoped they could recruit them as allies if they found the statue. Duel organized the group in clearing away the rubble from the rebel outpost, claiming that the statue is buried somewhere within the ruins. After a long day of digging, the group finally discovers the statue. However, Duel double-crosses them and reveals that he had been working for Governor Matron, who'd hoped to add the statue to his personal collection. As the gang leave the rebel outpost to rendezvous with the Imperial Governor, a large group of stormtroopers sent there by Cheeto arrive to attack the rebels. The group is hopelessly outnumbered, but are miraculously saved by a group of Stenaxes who have come to claim their idol. Solo sends them in Rick Duel's direction, and the rebels prepare to leave the planet, lucky to be alive. As the Millennium Falcon departs Stenos, Rick Duel and his gang arrive at Duel's ship, the Moon Shadow, hoping to escape with the artifact and sell it to someone who will pay more than Matron. However, the Imperial Governor had predicted the double cross and cuts off the smugglers at their ship. As Matron prepares to execute the traitorous con artists, a swarm of Stenaxes descends upon the Imperials. As the spears of the natives began to cut down the Imperials, Duel looks up into the sky to see the tiny silhouette of the Millennium Falcon, knowing that they were responsible somehow for his misfortune. Back in the present, Luke Skywalker finishes his tale by telling Lando that he assumes that Governor Matron and the Rick Duel gang were all killed by the rampaging Stenaxes. Lando asks Luke if he thinks the Stenaxes will be thankful and help the rebels find the bounty hunters they're looking for. Luke responds with a wry look, causing Lando to respond with, maybe we'd better park the ship out of sight of the city. So guys, thoughts on this issue right here?
Anything with Han Solo in it is an A+ to me.
Wow, what a shill.
Yeah.
So Rise of Skywalker had Han Solo in it.
Whoa,
He got
okay.
you there, Angel.
Okay, John. To be fair, that is fake Han Solo.
Yeah, he didn't even bother to shave for that. He showed up as the ghost and he was like, oh, whatever, I'm not cutting my hair. Fuck you, bye.
The real
Yeah.
Han Solo wouldn't go out like a bitch.
Bitch. Like a bitch. Yeah, exactly.
But
Anyways.
no, it was cool with the it was sort of like reminded me of like, I don't know, some sort of voodoo horror movie with like, you know, you remove the statue and all the demons come in. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna fucking kill you. And then I did like how they it was like double crosses on top of double crosses because you had the guy trying to screw them by and this was the issue with the comedy that I was thinking of, where like C-3PO is lifting the big rock and then R2 has a little tiny rock in his pincer and 3PO is like, oh, thanks for all your help, R2.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause as if R2 can do much and that body.
Like, bitch, I hardly have arms. Yeah.
He's like, I saw you had rocket boosters in the prequels, you bitch. You have a midget inside of there. Just throw him out and load yourself up with rocks.
Yeah.
It
But
still boggles my mind that demons exist in the world of Star Wars.
it is. It's kind of like some voodoo shit right there.
Who
I was
do
thinking
the
more-
voodoo? You do the voodoo. Yeah.
Hmm.
I was thinking more of like Dark Souls or
Oh, yeah.
fuck.
But no, it
Ooh.
was the crisscrossing. It was like you know, Han Solo's buddy then betrays the Imperials, but then the Imperials kind of like betray him, but then they get attacked by the demons because then they had the statue. And it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of a funny little it's kind of a mess, but it's also kind of funny just seeing I always like a 3-party thing where they're all working against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Angel, any other thoughts on this issue?
No, not really. It was more
Yeah.
chill than anything.
I've noticed that the writers in these past few issues really want to use Han Solo because even though he's still in Carbonite, I've noticed that though.
That's definitely true. They do a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Overall, like my whole thoughts on this batch, I just didn't really care, and I guess it's because in the back of my head, like I knew some of these were like just blatant side quests, some more than others. I guess the reason I just don't care for this current search for Han Solo arc is that I just know in the back of my head that they're gonna save that for Return of the Jedi, so they're not gonna make much progress there, and I don't know. Maybe this arc will lead into it. I mean, we're currently in like what 82, 83. Return of the Jedi should be around the corner, so I don't know. Maybe it's going to lead into that, possibly. But I'm just not super. I just don't feel like there's going to be much after effects from any of these issues. That's just what I'm thinking. That's probably just what I'm just not why I'm not caring as much, basically. But
It just feels like it's just being dragged on.
They're stalling for time for Revenge of the Return of the Jedi to actually get made. Yeah, pretty much. But guys. But anyways, guys. So that's gonna be it for today. So we're not gonna have another comic review for quite some time because I still gotta get through these books right here. I'm gonna get through all 3 right here. That's gonna take me a bit. But as always, John, you still got other novel reviews on your channel, and Angel got nothing on his channel.
Yes,
so that sucks.
I do plan on live streaming on my channel.
You actually are now, Angel? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got my laptop fixed, so I do plan on like live streaming on YouTube and Rumble because I have OBS on that laptop. So be on the lookout for that.
Well, that's some good share there. But anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll see you guys next time in the backseat. Take care!